Of course, I'm sure there are other methods of wig prep that maybe work for some people, but these are the 3 that I recommend. So we're going to start with the 3 necessary items you need for any wig prep. That first item is, of course, a wig cap of your choosing, one that is closest to the color of wig that you are going to be using. So if I were doing someone blonde, I would use a nude wig cap. If I had a brunette character, I'd use a brunette wig cap, or even black. You get the picture? Your next item, bobby pins. Obviously, you're going to need a lot of bobby pins. And the last item that many people don't use but should, U-pins. That is what they are called, U-pins. You can tell because they are shaped like the letter U. And they have these sharp ends, not like a needle, but they are sharper than a bobby pin. This first method is the easiest and the quickest of all 3, and I'm going to call it the ponytail swirl method. Even if you don't have a ponytail, it doesn't really matter. Now, for this kind of wig prep, you have to use a wig cap that is mesh with a hole at both sides. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to put it on like a choker and make sure all of our hair is out of it. You're going to make sure that elastic is on the bottom here, like on the tips of your fingers, and we're bringing it up to our hairline, making sure we got all that hair out, and then boom. You see how I have all my hair in there? And I'm going to evenly distribute it with my hand. Now that I have this area up here, I'm going to hold it flat against my head, and I'm going to pin it with the flat side up of my bobby pins, okay? Flat side up, because if you do the non-flat side up, that could disturb your wig. And I'm going to cross pin that on each section. With this wig prep, the next thing you need to do is cross pin at your temples and the back, like little corners of your hairline. You need to cross pin. This will help keep the wig cap on. Also, always make sure that your wig cap is a little bit behind your actual hairline. So this is the quickest and easiest one. It is not my favorite because you don't really have much to pin your wig into, except if you have really curly hair. Yes, you do. You can also pin into the cross pins that you have made right here and in the back, and you're going to use U-pins to do that. This method is the French braid method. Now you can do regular French braids, you can do Dutch braids. I have the French here and the Dutch on this side. Honestly, I like the Dutch better because it gives you a little more something to pin into rather than the French, which is much more smooth, but either really works. Some people with long hair will take their braids and go over the top. Do not do that unless they lay perfectly flat. Like, you have to have really thin hair for that. You don't want to create an awkward lump across the crown of your head. That's why I say that. Now my hair is short, but for this method, I recommend curving your braids up the sides. That way you don't get like a weird awkward lump at the bottom of your head. You want to disperse those braids up the sides of your head so that it's as moldable and round as possible on your head. And of course, you're going to cross pin them into place because cross pinning is secure pinning. Now for this method, you can use whatever kind of wig cap you like. Obviously, I'm still using my mesh one. Now, because you're taking it above your hair and putting it on, I like to take a comb, like the end of one of these combs, or you can use like a makeup brush and just get all that hair pushed in there. You don't want any flyaway. Like, that made a huge difference. You can see it immediately. Now, because you actually have something to pin into, you can use a U-pin or a bobby pin and pin those ends into that prep that you just made. That's what's really nice about it, because you actually have a base to pin into. And we're always going to do these top 2. We're always going to do our 2 at those back corners of our head as well. Also, you can use this comb with the back before you pin it. And with this wig prep, I'm still cross pinning my corners, my temples and my corners, because you don't want this wig cap to slip. Trust me, if it slips, your wig will also slip. Also, if you don't like cross pinning near your temples, if that's a little too tight, these are toupee clips. You can get a little bit under your hair and you get the wig cap in there and you just snap it on, and those hold so well. The last form of wig prep is everyone's favorite, pin curls. When I say favorite, I obviously do not mean favorite. What I recommend for pin curls, you're doing rows around your head. So going from your frame of your face, you are going to make, I would say, about 2 to 3 inch at most wide pin curls. Now, all right, so I have my section. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm taking 2 fingers, wrapping it around, not twisting the hair because then it gets thick. You're going to hold on to it like a circle, and then you're going to gradually keep making that circle until it's flat on your head. We need it to be flat. I'm taking a little bit of hair from the inside and I'm going around and locking it underneath. We're then doing that on an opposite side because guess what? We're going to cross pin. And of course, all my bobby pins are flat. Of course. Pin curls are the most secure because you literally have things to pin into all over your head. You just do. They're the most secure, but they take the most time. You're putting it on over our head, trying to get all that hair in there, and we are using our comb or a makeup brush, like a skinny one, just like we did before. We are always doing this. We're taking those ends and we are pinning them over. If you have a wig cap that doesn't have a hole for this kind of wig prep, well, you don't need to pull it over necessarily, but you should pin it down. If you would still like to use toupee clips or you want a cross pin, you're more than welcome. A lot of people have issues with sliding, so I welcome the more precautions, the better. Some people will put one of the nylon wig caps over a mesh wig cap or vice versa. I don't recommend this because that can be a huge headache. That is a lot of pressure on your head. But if you have a hair texture that's poking out or you just need that extra wig cap, just make sure it's stretchy and large enough to not give you a headache. These are just my basic wig preps that I recommend. Those three obviously have varying levels of difficulty and effectiveness. So if you have any other questions about wigs, wig prep, wig maintenance, how to put on a wig, how to pin on a wig, please feel free to ask. I answer these questions for my customers all the time, so I'm trying to get the information out there so that more people have it.